Two of the men convicted in connection with Foolio's murder are now rumored to have been stabbed behind bars, and the story is spreading fast across the rap world. According to claims circulating online, Shawn Gathright and another unnamed man were allegedly attacked in prison and left in critical condition. Some posts have even suggested that video of the incident exists. But right now, there's one major problem. No verified footage has surfaced publicly, and no official agency has confirmed the attack. So before we get into what allegedly happened behind prison walls, we need to understand exactly who these men are, what they were convicted of doing, and why so many people immediately believed that revenge could have followed them into prison. The verdict that changed everything. On June 22, 2026, Isaiah Chance, Shawn Gathright, Rashad Murphy, and Davion Murphy were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the murder of Jacksonville rapper Charles Julio Foolio.
We, the jury, finds Isaiah Chance should be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
The jury had already recommended those sentences roughly a month earlier. According to reports, Chance also received a concurrent life sentence for conspiracy to commit murder.
We, the jury, find Shawn Gathright should be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Gathright received 4 concurrent 30-year sentences for conspiracy and 3 counts of attempted murder, while the Murphy brothers received additional concurrent life sentences on those charges. That sentencing remains the last major confirmed development in the case. Then the rumors started. A social media account claimed that Shawn Gathright and another man convicted in Foolio's murder had been stabbed in prison and were in critical condition. Around the same time, Seti Nash said he was hearing similar information about Gathright. Suddenly, multiple pages were repeating the same story. But to understand why people were so quick to believe it, you have to go back to the conflict that eventually ended Foolio's life. The Jacksonville War behind Foolio's murder. Julio Foolio, born Charles Andrew Jones II, built his career out of Jacksonville and became associated with a local group known as 6 Block. For years, 6 Block had been involved in a bitter rivalry with opposing groups including 1200 Out East and ATK, Ace's Top Killers. This wasn't simply internet drama between rappers. People connected to both sides had been killed, and those deaths eventually became material for diss records that reached millions of listeners. In 2018, Foolio released music mocking someone from the opposing side who had already been killed. Investigators later argued that his involvement in those public rivalries made him a target for years, and Foolio knew his life was in danger. In October 2023, he survived an attempt on his life. Investigators would later find an important connection between that shooting and his eventual murder. Authorities determined that ammunition associated with Foolio's killing matched the same brand connected to the 2023 attempt and another unrelated 2022 homicide investigators linked to Shawn Gathright. That ballistic connection helped prosecutors portray Foolio's murder not as one random explosion of violence, but as part of a longer pattern involving the same rivalries and some of the same people. Then came June 23, 2024. 2 days after turning 26, Foolio was celebrating his birthday in Tampa. According to investigators, the people targeting him were able to track his movements partly through social media posts advertising the celebration. Prosecutors said members of the group traveled from Jacksonville to Tampa and followed Foolio throughout the night. Chance and another person allegedly followed Jones and his group to multiple locations. Investigators said Chance was seen leaving a vehicle and using a cell phone before another vehicle carrying the alleged shooters appeared shortly afterward. Eventually, Foolio and his friends arrived at a hotel. According to reporting cited during the case, a vehicle passed Foolio's parked cars twice before 3 armed men got out. That detail became important because prosecutors argued this wasn't an accidental encounter. They described it as a coordinated hunt. The attackers allegedly followed Foolio, communicated with each other, waited for the right moment, and then moved in. When Foolio and 3 friends were preparing to leave the hotel, 3 men approached the vehicles. One carried a Glock-style handgun with an extended magazine. The other two carried semi-automatic rifles. Then they opened fire. Bullets tore through Foolio's vehicle and another car nearby. The shooters then ran back to their vehicle and escaped. The autopsy revealed just how violent the attack had been. Foolio was struck in the chest, back, and right arm. One bullet passed through his lung, heart, and aorta. Another damaged his opposite lung and kidney. He reportedly lost approximately 2 liters of blood before dying. 3 of his friends were wounded in the same attack. Foolio was only 26 years old. His mother had feared this moment. After her son's death, Foolio's mother spoke publicly about something especially painful. She said she had previously asked him to stop rapping because she feared the violence surrounding his career could eventually lead to exactly this outcome. Now the outcome she feared had happened. The Jacksonville Sheriff's Office also warned against retaliation after Foolio's murder, making it clear that authorities understood the possibility that his death could trigger even more violence. And that warning feels especially important now, because nearly 2 years later, people are asking whether the same cycle of revenge may have followed the men convicted of killing Foolio into prison. But first, investigators had to prove who was responsible for his murder. Building the case. The 4 men who eventually stood trial weren't strangers to the conflict surrounding Foolio. Investigators identified Isaiah Chance as having ties to ATK, the same organization associated with rapper Youngeen Ace. Rashad and Davion Murphy were linked to 1200. And Shawn Gathright, who was only 18 when arrested, had already been connected by investigators to the earlier 2023 attempt on Foolio's life. When detectives searched homes and vehicles connected to Chance and Gathright, they recovered firearms and ammunition that prosecutors later used as part of their case. The trial began in April 2026. From the opening statements, prosecutors argued that the defendants shared one objective: killing Foolio. Then survivors of the shooting took the stand. Gino Norris, a longtime friend of Foolio who was inside the same vehicle, testified that both he and another friend, Xavier Edwards, were wounded. They had to escape the vehicle and find help while the attack was unfolding. Another victim, Kamia Bentley, described being grazed by a bullet while attempting to drive away from the hotel. But prosecutors had more than survivor testimony. Investigators presented cell phone records, location data, surveillance footage, text messages, and ballistic evidence. A Jacksonville detective also testified that investigators discovered what they described as celebratory social media posts from an account associated with Rashad shortly after Foolio was killed. Prosecutors alleged Rashad was one of the 3 shooters. They argued that surveillance footage showed the person carrying the Glock appeared to be left-handed. Investigators then connected that observation to Rashad after noticing that he appeared uncomfortable completing paperwork with his right hand during questioning. Then came another damaging piece of testimony. Robert Howard, who had known Foolio since childhood, told the jury that Rashad contacted him after the shooting. According to Howard, Rashad admitted that he had been positioned in front of Foolio's vehicle when the shooting started and apologized. Defense attorneys argued that much of the evidence was circumstantial, but after approximately 8 hours of deliberation on May 8, 2026, the jury convicted all 4 men of first-degree murder.
Plausible is not the same as confirmed. That distinction is the key to understanding everything happening right now. Could Shawn Gathright have been attacked in prison? Absolutely.
Yeah, he was responding to Who I Smoke by Youngeen Ace. Yeah. But yeah.
Could someone connected to Foolio, 6 Block, or another part of Jacksonville's street politics have wanted revenge? It's possible. Could prison violence have nothing to do with Foolio and still involve a high-profile inmate like Gathright?
Effort that you go into putting to just disrespect someone at that level is crazy.
No, they profit off of Black Death.
also possible. But none of those possibilities prove an attack actually happened. Motive is not evidence. Reputation is not evidence. A viral post is not evidence. And 10 accounts repeating the same unverified claim still don't turn it into confirmation. What would change the story? Verified footage would. An official statement from the Florida Department of Corrections would. A documented incident report would. Confirmation from an attorney or family member could add significant weight. Independent reporting from journalists with sources inside the prison system could establish what happened.
They're supporting it.
It's a catalyst, bro. A big catalyst.
Well, because there's real shit happening.
Yeah, because Julio Foolio went to the gravesite of young
Dog,
Ace brother.
I feel bad for these kids.
Me too.
Like,
Until something like that emerges, the responsible way to describe this situation is exactly what it is, an unconfirmed report. Another defendant shows how complicated this case became. There's another part of Foolio's murder case worth remembering. Alicia Andrews, who was Chance's girlfriend at the time, didn't receive the same outcome as the 4 men now serving life sentences. She was acquitted of first-degree murder, but convicted of manslaughter. Her defense argued that she had been pulled into the situation by a controlling boyfriend, rather than serving as one of the primary architects of the murder plot. She ultimately received a 15-year sentence. That was dramatically different from life without parole, and it demonstrates something important. Even people connected to the same crime can have completely different roles, different legal outcomes, and different futures inside the prison system. That makes it dangerous to assume that every person convicted in connection with Foolio's death will experience the same fate behind bars. The internet wants a simple story. Foolio was killed. His killers were convicted. They went to prison. Then revenge found them. It's a powerful narrative. Maybe parts of it eventually turn out to be true, but reality usually isn't that clean.
What happens next? If Shawn Gathright really was seriously attacked inside a Florida correctional facility, the story probably won't remain a rumor forever. A major prison assault creates documentation. There are medical records, incident reports, housing decisions, security reviews, potential investigations, and when the inmate involved is connected to a nationally followed murder case, journalists have every reason to start asking questions. Reporters from outlets that covered Foolio's murder, the arrests, the trial, and the sentencing are already familiar with these defendants. If credible confirmation exists, those reporters are in a much better position to find it than anonymous social media accounts. That's why the next stage of this story matters. If legitimate footage emerges and can be authenticated, the entire conversation changes immediately. If Florida prison officials confirm Gathright was attacked, the rumor becomes a documented event. But if days and weeks pass without footage, official records, or credible reporting, then serious questions need to be asked about whether there was ever an attack at all. Right now, the story is sitting directly between those two possibilities. It could be true but not yet verified, or it could simply be another viral rumor built around a story people desperately wanted to believe. The bigger story. And maybe that's the most revealing part of all this. Foolio's story has always existed at the intersection of real violence and internet entertainment. Real people died. Real families lost sons, brothers, and friends. But those deaths were also turned into songs. The songs became memes. The memes generated millions of views. Fans picked sides in conflicts involving people they had never met.
And every new shooting created another wave of content. Then Foolio himself became the victim. He spent years publicly participating in a culture where dead rivals were mentioned in music and online. Eventually, the violence reached him too. Now the men convicted of killing him are behind bars, and before they've even settled into life sentences, the internet is already searching for the next chapter. Did they get attacked? Was it revenge? Is there footage? Who ordered it? Is somebody sending a message? Those questions generate enormous attention, but sometimes the demand for the next chapter moves faster than reality, and that's exactly why this story needs to be handled carefully. Because if the stabbing happened, confirmation will matter, And if it didn't happen, thousands of people may already believe something that was never true. So where does everything stand? Here's what we actually know. 4 men were convicted of first-degree murder in connection with Julio Foolio's killing. They received life sentences without the possibility of parole. Shawn Gathright is one of those men. Shortly after sentencing, social media posts began claiming that Gathright and another inmate connected to Foolio's murder had been stabbed and left in critical condition. Those claims spread rapidly, but as of the information available in this story, verified footage of that alleged attack has not publicly surfaced, no official confirmation establishing the stabbing has been presented, and no major outlet has produced the kind of evidence that would allow us to confidently say the attack happened exactly as social media claims. So for now, this remains a developing story. Not confirmed revenge, not confirmed prison footage, a developing allegation. And that difference matters, because Foolio's murder already showed what can happen when years of public disrespect, street politics, music, and retaliation become impossible to separate. 4 men are now spending the rest of their lives behind bars. Foolio is gone. His family will never get him back. And Jacksonville is left with another chapter in a conflict that has already taken far too much. Maybe the prison rumor will eventually become the next confirmed chapter. Maybe footage really does exist. Maybe officials will eventually acknowledge that Gathright was attacked. But until that evidence appears, the smartest thing anyone following this story can do is separate what feels believable from what can actually be proven. Because on social media, rumors only need minutes to become headlines. Truth usually takes longer. And in a story built around violence, revenge, and years of real bloodshed, that difference matters more than ever. Thanks for watching. And if you want more stories breaking down what's really happening behind hip-hop's biggest cases, check out the other videos on the screen.